Two women are standing on giant turtles during a turtle race. This happened in Miami, USA in the 1920s. The Lord High Executioner of the former princely state of Rewa, central India, around 1898. This is from his yearbook. It looks like a photo of Ben Affleck. He's wearing a collared shirt and a blazer. He has short hair and is smiling. The waterful ring toss, which came out in the 1970s, was a small handheld toy. Tommy made it. It was made to be fun. It had a closed water chamber and plastic rings. Members of the White House press corps rushed to telephones after Truman announced Japan's surrender, August 14, 1945. Robert Redford and Brad Pitt, 1992. (1968) comic book artist Mike Sekowsky is drawing model Joyce Miller for the new look of Wonder Woman. A father is taking a piece of glass out of his son's foot at Mays Avenue Camp in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in 1939. Apparently one of the dangers of not wearing shoes. There's a happy owner with a 1955 Messerschmitt KR 175. They're cleaning fish in an Icelandic port in 1948. At the Boston Trade School for Girls, there were young girls drawing. They were also selling Christmas gifts around 1910. Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein fires an AK-47 while visiting troops fighting in the Iran-Iraq War, 1987. Muhammad Ali kisses the photo of Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser during his trip to Egypt, 1964. Leonardo DiCaprio and Monica Bellucci at Paris Fashion Week in 1995. Barack Obama smoking in college, 1980. Young Arnold Schwarzenegger is doing wrist curls with 135 pounds on a bench from around the early 1970s. Eminem and his younger brother Nate around 1987. Dining together after a Japanese raid in the Singapore area on February 26, 1942. A Chinese man and his young daughter sit calmly amid the ruins eating bowls of rice. Madonna, Sting, and Tupac, 1944. During the 1600s, doctors wore outfits to treat plague patients. Bridget Wilson as Sonia Blade. A member of the Women's Royal Army Corps is showing off her new tattoo to her friends. Physical training. 22 stories in the air. Men and girls employed by the New York State Industrial Commission are going through physical exercises. These exercises were designed for the National Security League on the roof of the Victoria Building in New York, 1917 to 1918. Kurt Cobain, 1984. It seems like there was flooding in St. Mark's Square, Venice, around 1910. A miner's child, barefoot in the snow, sits with a pickaxe after digging coal from mine refuse along the roadside. He was about a quarter mile from his home in Scotts Run, West Virginia, in 1936. Ford made its 10th millionth car in the United States in 1924. Antoine Dubuclet Jr., a wealthy black sugar planter, was Louisiana's first black treasurer. He enslaved over 100 people on his sugarcane plantations. Michelle Pfeiffer then, in 1980, and now in 2025. Two boys are playing knights on Play Street in London, England, in 1947. From the 1930s to the 1960s, African American maids in the North often faced challenging working conditions. They worked long hours for low pay. Many were employed in private homes. They also encountered racial discrimination. Sean Connery with James Bond's Aston Martin in 1965. There's an Eskimo medicine man with a sick boy. This was in the early 1900s. Dolly Parton in the 1970s, offstage, relaxed, and angelic. There's a young man in a dorm room. It's decorated with baseball cards and pictures of lovely ladies. This was probably around 1910. This is a refreshment stand from 1964 to 65 from the New York World's Fair. It was for the Brass Rail Food Service Organization, Incorporated. A topless shoe shine in Toronto, Canada, 1975. In 1925, 11-year-old Lucille Chatterton was rescued from an alleged abductor, Earl Woodward, who was an ex-convict. This happened after a 6.5-day search involving hundreds of Vermont residents. An African king is riding a subject while holding an umbrella. This was in German East Africa in 1913. Two young friends who'd been thieving are getting put in the stocks as a punishment. This happened on Old Street in London, England in 1872. A former slave is holding a horn. It was used to call slaves. This was near Marshall, Texas, in the United States of America in 1939. World champion Garry Kasparov walks away in disgust after losing his rematch against the IBM supercomputer Deep Blue in 1997. Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson in the 90s. Mariah Carey, at the very beginning of her career doing a photo shoot in Chicago in 1990. So, there are rollerbladers in California during the 1970s. Winona Ryder and Cher, 1989. Al Pacino and Madonna in promotional photos for the film Dick Tracy, 1990. Russian women are posing atop a downed German He-111 on Stalingrad Street in 1943. Anna Nicole Smith is one of the most desirable women of the 90s. There's a bear cub on the ice. This was in the USSR back in 1925. Spring 1942. Detroit. A fashion show presented by the Chrysler Girls Club of the Chrysler Corporation at Saks Fifth Avenue store. A girl is modeling a corselet. Nelson Mandela and Moses Kotane at the treason trial, 1958. A crew of observers is on the Empire State Building during an air defense test on January 21, 1941 in New York City. The U.S. Army conducted the test. Their job was to spot invading enemy bombers and send information to centers that would order interceptor planes. Maxim Gorky, Nizhny Novgorod, 1901. Cheerleaders, East Carolina Teachers College, 1930. A mouse is climbing a miniature ladder to take a sip of wine in a wine cellar. This was in Jerez, Spain, in 1954. An unidentified speaker is at a Women's Social and Political Union, or WSPU, meeting. It happened in 1912. President Clinton composing the first presidential email, 1993. Albert Göring was the younger brother of Hermann Göring, a big shot in the Nazi Party. He was a strong opponent of Nazism and really worked hard to help Jews and other people who were being hurt by the Nazis during World War II. Bookcase. Linda Evangelista, 1992. Rowan Atkinson during his electrical engineering days at Newcastle University, 1972. Michael J. Fox and Woody Harrelson, 1993. Soldiers are lifting an inflatable rubber dummy tank in England in 1939. The Beatles, 1962. Soviet soldiers raise the flag over the Reichstag. This happened in World War II in Berlin in May of 1945. Jacqueline Lee Kennedy Onassis is the wife of the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. There's a little boy sleeping under his bed, and his dog is sleeping in the bed. This happened in England in 1969. Brooke Shields and Debbie Harry were photographed together at Studio 54 in 1978. A South African sentry stands guard with a smile as a Malagasy girl imitates him. It was taken during the Allied invasion of Madagascar. It was September 1942 in Madagascar. Here's a portrait of Bardot in 1957. London zookeeper Sam Morton feeds giant panda Chi-Chi a chocolate bar. This was in England in 1966. Soviet soldiers and Yugoslav partisans are celebrating after the liberation of Belgrade in October 1944. There are boys with a large catch of cod. This is in Quebec, Canada, in 1943. The Burgess seaplane, a variant of the Dunn D-8, a tailless swept-wing biplane, was in New York. It was being used by the New York Naval Militia around 1918. Soldiers were being recruited for the war against Spain, also known as the Spanish-American War. This was shortly after the sinking of the Maine in 1898. The original Neue Elbbrücke Bridge in Hamburg, Germany. It's a road and rail bridge that crosses the Elbe River. Construction began in 1904 and it opened in 1905. It was designed by engineers and has a steel framework with two main spans that are about 109 meters each. Cleopatra's Needle, Alexandria, Egypt, the 1870s. Ludger Silbaris, jailed in solitary confinement after a bar fight, survived one of the largest volcanic eruptions of the 20th century thanks to his cell's thick walls and limited ventilation. 1902. A United States airman and his girlfriend are in Saigon. It's 1971. German soldiers are pushing a pair of dummy tanks. It was 1925. Boys are watching the girls play baseball around the 1950s. It's a Kodachrome shot. Elvis Presley with his wife Priscilla in 1973. The Ainu people of northern Japan, shown at the turn of the 20th century, experienced forced assimilation starting in the 18th century. By 1966, there were only around 300 native Ainu speakers. They're posing for a photo at their favorite drinking spot, the Man at the Wheel Saloon, in 1895. Girls in Beijing are practicing stilt walking in 1934. Settlers were sprayed by foam by Israeli troops while protesting the return of the Sinai region to Egypt in 1982. The pupils of a London County Council dressmaking class are holding a fashion parade. They're showing their friends and family what they've learned. The Chevrolet Corvair, the unique car that came with a cradle in 1960. Marilyn Monroe, not yet famous, is taking care of two babies. She's brushing one of the baby's hair in 1947. Jane Mansfield for Life magazine, 1956. People in Western Belarus are receiving fresh Soviet newspapers, September 17, 1937. On the first day of the Red Army's arrival, soldiers distribute Pravda newspapers to the population. Paul McCartney hangs out on the Upper West Side, New York, 1982. A photomat at the Wildwood Shopping Center in Bethesda, Maryland, 1970s. It was 1958, and there was rare snow in New Orleans. A borde, or burde, is a small, dugout type of house, built halfway into the ground. These were very common in the mountains and steppes of Eastern Europe. This was taken in Hungary in 1976. The first McDonald's burger stand was in San Bernardino, California, in 1940. Here's a yearbook photo of Ryan Reynolds. In the image, he's wearing a collared shirt and blazer. He's looking directly at the camera. His hair is styled with a part. Julia Roberts at the 1999 Notting Hill premiere, unshaven and unforgettable. Brigitte Bardot in Spain, 1968. There was a mass demonstration in Clerkenwell Green, in front of Karl Marx's house. It became the Communist Party's headquarters in London in 1942. Gary Halliwell in 1997. Cameron Diaz Young. Neve Campbell in 1996. Pablo Picasso in his studio, 1947 to 48. Paul McCartney, Pete Townshend, and Robert Plant, 1979. Charles Bronson with his actress wife Jill Ireland in London, England, 1969. Raquel Welch, 1985. Native American little girls are praying beside their beds at the Phoenix Indian School in Arizona. Catherine Deneuve in Venice. She's standing in front of what looks like a building. It seems to be a rather large building, and it has quite a few windows. She's wearing a hat. A Palestinian teenager is giving a souvenir to female IDF soldiers. This took place in Jerusalem in 1967. An electric mask to rejuvenate the face. A toaster with an Edison screw fitting, circa 1909. An Atlanta policeman grabs his head after he was hit by a rock thrown by counter-demonstrators at a Ku Klux Klan parade. This happened in Atlanta on Saturday, January 21, 1989. A 12-year-old budding actor named Christopher Walken is making pie crust in his father's bakery. The first time someone used the V sign in an offensive way was in 1901. It was a worker from Parkgate Ironworks in Rotherham. He was letting everyone know he didn't like being filmed. Kate Winslet, Looking Innocent, in 1986. Raquel Welch in a production still from Lady in Cement, 1968. Angie Everhart around the 1990s. The Beatles are cooling off during a cover shoot for Life magazine in Miami, 1964. United States President Richard Nixon dines with Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai. Beijing, 1972. The Giant Snowman, 1966.